Okay, this is going to be a request video. This is going to be about the Umbra. Um, I can't believe I haven't put up a video about this already, but I don't know how I missed it. This might be a longer video too, because this covers a lot. It seems that a lot of people have trouble with the Umbra. They don't understand it. They don't know how to run it. Various things like that. They just think of it as the home of the spirits. Well, it's a bit more than that. Um, it's different for everybody. White Wolf wrote it kind of vague, so they left it open for a lot of interpretation and imagination. So this is going to be my take on the Umbra as experienced through all my years of running Chronicles, and my experiences with the various organizations. And so we'll see if you can get something good out of it. Okay, let's start with what's kind of clear. Okay, we're going to start with the realm, the real world. Okay, what everybody mainly lives in. Thing is, Guru are of both realms. They have to spend time in the Umbra. They have to spend time in the real. If they neglect one or the other, they tend to lose connection to the one they're neglecting. Um, this can be reflected if they don't go into the Umbra very often with starting to lose touch with their gnosis, or on the other side of it, they could just start losing touch with everything that's grounding them to reality if they're in the Umbra too long. Um, there's even some passages that suggest that if they're there too long, they stop being a guru altogether and become what's called an emanation. I will get to that later. Okay, so we're going to start with the first thing, which is the Penumbra, which is kind of the shadow around the real world. Okay, there is something called the Gauntlet. Basically, the world we live in is separated from the spirit world by this membranous barrier that kind of came up when the world splintered. You have to get through this barrier in order to reach the Umbra. Humans usually can't do it. There's only a few places that are the gauntlet's thin enough that you could. That's usually where you find cairns and such. Stuff like Natural Channel can, of course, take you across, but for the most part, you have to defeat the gauntlet itself. As you get into high weaver areas like the hearts of cities, science labs, stuff like that, the gauntlet might be so thick it's almost impenetrable. It's like they're hitting a wall. Of course, shiny surfaces and other things can help with that, but that's basically for the base crew stuff. That isn't about the Umbra itself. Okay, when you get over to the Umbra, depends on what time of day you go. During the day, the Umbra's dark. Yes, there is an umbral sun. Basically, it's Helios, but it only shines in certain places. So the best time to travel is at night because Luna is shining. And when Luna shines, the moon paths appear. And that's the easiest and best way for Guru to travel. Where the gauntlet is thinnest tends to be where the Umbra is the most glorious. So around cairns and such, you'll go into a cairn, and the cairn might be in a small copse of woods, and you go over there, and it's in a lush, luxurious forest with trees towering overhead, which is going to reflect the Guru's caretaking of the land and the fact that it's remained somewhat pure. As you travel around, though, since we are in a Weaver-dominated society, because electronics and all kinds of Weaver tech basically extends everywhere. Everywhere there's an extension like that, you're going to find webs. They represent the electrical currents, the phone paths, you name it. Okay, they are their own domain unto themselves, but we're going to get into that too. Everything is kind of reflected in the Umbra in kind of its abstract meaning. If you were to encounter, I don't know, a laboratory that, let's say, was trying to change the genetic code of people to eliminate birth defects. What's the abstract meaning in that? It's about improvement. It's about eliminating weakness. That might be reflected as something totally abstract from what you're expecting over on the other side. It could be reflected as a gladiatorial pit where only the strong survive. It could be a Darwinian college. It could just be simply a stand of trees where the largest trees are strangling out the smaller trees. So it's always going to be abstract, and this is where your storytellers have to put their creative hats on and really kind of shine at that point. You've got a few other things that are going to affect you over there, like the Umbra wind. Um, just like we have winds here, and they're represented by spirits, the north wind, south wind, east wind, and west wind. There is a fifth, which is called the Umbra wind. Anybody who's done a true moot knows that there's a part where you actually think the winds and the Umbra wind is the final one. It can be very notoriously unpredictable. Could blow Gru off paths. It's never understood if it's doing it for a purpose or if it's just random. And you're going to encounter stuff like loons, various types of spirits, but that's something else entirely as well. Now you have what you call which are called domains. These tend to be things that are kind of connected to our realm. So they're going to be in the Penumbra. Okay, we've got stuff like Chimerae. Okay, these are individual dream domains. You're always going to find these around a dreamer, and it's going to be very it's going to be like being on LSD. It's going to be very hallucinogenic. You're going to get in there, and the dreamer kind of controls it. Guru tend to try to go in there to change things. They can be dangerous. You can find any number of things in there, including banes. If you get near a mage or a vampire's chimera, those tend to be large and very dangerous and very lethal. You've got den realms. Okay, den realms are the home of the Bastet. They've managed to claim these realms, and whatever they've done to do so ensures that no worm, no weaver is in in the realm of or in the boundaries of their den realms. Guru don't tend to see that they don't tend to recognize the obvious value to that, but part of that's also because they're territorial and tend to take these from them because, well, we're Guru, we're assholes. You've got glens. It's a wild-based realm. It's very natural in itself. People go there a lot of times. It's a great place to rest because you're definitely safe from the worm, and you tend to regain gnosis when you're in them. Hellholes. Okay, these are definitely worm-based. These tend to happen where the worst, like pollution, toxic waste, you name it, wherever it's been dumped. A lot of people believe it has a direct connection to Malpheus. It's kicking out Malphean energy. When Guru enter them, they tend to start getting damaged by them. A lot of times, if they go deep enough, their gifts start to become inhibited, so they can't even use them. A lot of Guru just start to gain rage just for being around them. You've got Lunae. That's how I pronounce it, at least. It's Lunae. These are kind of the realms of the loons. They tend to develop at crossroads of the moon paths, and the loons tend to hang out there. They're powered by Luna, and they tend to be safe places to rest in your travels. Trods. They're always represented as fairy circles. The Fae empower them, and they tend to lead to the gateways to Arcadia. Not much more to be said about them. The webs I was mentioning earlier, those are all Weaver generated. They're empowered by the Weaver, and they tend to be filled with pattern spiders and various other technological type spirits that tend to be beholden to the Weaver. So, and those are probably the most common because you see those everywhere now. Okay. Then you got wildlings, which are powered by the wild. They tend to be closer to the deep Umbra, which I'll cover shortly. These places are kind of strange because they look like wild energy, whirling energy and color filled, and they got wild spirits and ephemera in them. Again, I'll cover that later. They tend to induce madness in the Guru. It's very unclear what their purpose is. Then you have anchorheads. Anchorheads tend to be, for lack of a better term, doorways between the realms, and they're going to go right through the Penumbra. So you can have an anchorhead from the realm to one of the near realms. You could have an anchorhead, from the realm itself into a sub realm. They're very dangerous because they tend to shoot right through the gauntlet, so they tend to allow things in that normally would not be able to get in. It's one of the best things for Guru to destroy when they find them. Okay, that covers. Oh, I'm sorry, I almost missed one. Blights. Okay, these tend to be kind of strange because they tend to be powered by the worm and the weaver at the same time. Basically, take the hellholes that I described in the webs and combine them together. So you're always going to find them where there's great clusters of webs, and if there's like toxic waste dumping or something there. A lot of people believe these connect directly to the scar itself, and it's very difficult to destroy a blight. Usually, you have to fix it in the real, which might be destroying it or starting some project that's going to clean up the area, take it out in the Umbra. So you're gonna have to get rid of all the Banes and all the corruption and cleanse everything there. And you're gonna probably have to take it out in the Scar as well, because there's probably going to be representation there, and that of course is very dangerous, which will be again covered later. Okay, you have your 13 near realms. I'm not going to get into those too much. They are similar to the realm itself, except they don't have the gauntlet itself. They have their own version, which is a later version. It's called like the Pericarp. So that's what a lot of people don't seem to understand is most of those realms, they're just not a realm unto itself. They also have their own version of the Umbra as well. Most people miss that because they assume they're instantly dealing with, they're in the Umbra already, so they don't think of it as there's a real world, another real world within the Umbra. All these near realms tend to revolve around Gaia. They orbit it. Gaia is the most important. It's the core realm. It's like the nucleus of an atom. Okay. There's some other things out there like mini realms. The only one that's ever been covered is the Beast. It's a little realm where they found something they think is a giant colossal beast that's slumbering. They don't know what it represents, what it's been around for, if it's ever going to wake up. There's a group of bone gnars that think it's a giant primordial Guru and Krynos, and you could take your assumptions from there. Then you've got the zones. These tend to be important. Okay, you got your mirror zone. You can end up over there. It's kind of an alternate what-if reality. Basically, anybody who's read Marvel Comics has seen this kind of thing before. You might have a guru that you show up in the mirror realm. You might not even realize you're in a different realm until all of a sudden your wife and kids show up, and you've never had a wife and kid, or certain people are dead, or maybe all of a sudden you're in a new position. You could take any number of movies, The Matrix, anything like that, and it feels very much like that. You also have the null zone. The nickname for it's a shortcut to anywhere. A lot of guru will try to go over there. It's believed that there are memories buried over there and any number of things. However, staying there for too long can result in delusions and pretty much forms of madness. Not a safe place to be. Then you've got your dream zone. Okay. Now, I mentioned the Chimera earlier. They are believed to be connected directly to the dream zone, because whereas they are individual dreams, the dream zone holds all dreams, it seems like. And when you go in there, you tend to hit this big gem, and you're going to enter the facet. If you're coming in through your own Chimera, you're going to encounter your own dreams, especially unfinished ones. If you go through somebody else's, you're encountering theirs, and that's a little harder to deal with. Excuse me. Then there's subrealms. You have Daydream, which is exactly what it sounds like. It's really a subrealm of dream. Land of the Dinosaurs, which it's a place to go hunting, pretty much is how it's described. It's believed to be a subrealm of Pangea. Then you've got Television, which is connected to the cyber realm. All these have appeared thanks to the proclivities of people in the here and now. Then you have a phenomenon known as vistas. One of my personal favorites to play with. The group can't enter them at all. They it's kind of like watching a documentary play out. There's no way to fix it, no way to change it. You just have to watch it. There's like 4 different types that have been identified. Death, which shows the death of the person watching it. Whether or not that's going to be a true death or if it's basically a possibility that they can now change now that they know about it is unclear. That's up to the storyteller. You've got Chaos, which it's just like it sounds. It throws all kinds of images at them, and they can sort them out as they please. Stasis, which shows it shows a set thing no matter what. Doesn't matter when they come back to it, it'll never change. And you got Origin. It's believed to show the origin of the Umbra and the ethereal realm and various other things. Okay. Obviously, spirits inhabit various areas of here, but most spirits you got to just kind of connect to the realm, and you got to figure out what lives elsewhere, because a lot of things are going to be indigenous to the realms. When you do the realms, you got to really read the laws and see exactly what's going to be there, because it makes no sense to find like a wildling in the Scar or the cyber realm. If they're there, there's going to be a damn good story for it. What you do tend to encounter are emanations a lot of times. Okay, A lot of people believe these are spirits that have come from the dead, because they'll run into famous emanations or guru that have come from before. They're not ancestor spirits. They're emanations. They're something different. They have the memories, the skills, everything of the guru that came before them, or the human, or whatever it may be. And they think they're alive. They really do, but they're not, because they're spirit energy now. They are spirits, and you know it is what it is. They're not wraiths. That's something else. That's another genre all to itself, and they exist as well. Then you have ephemera, which is non-sentient animate spirits. Everything in the Umbra is made up of spirit energy. It's made up of ephemera. That doesn't mean it's you can talk to everything. It doesn't mean everything's going to react to you. Sometimes it's just like putty, the primordial putty. And then you have a naturae. Naturae is how you spell it. Naturae. Everything that was in the world to begin with had a spirit attached to it. Oak trees, pine trees, rocks, animals, and nature is kind of a generic term for it. Then there's the deep umbra. There is a membrane. It's called the membrane. It's kind of like a thicker gauntlet that's way out there when you get far away from the realm and Gaia itself. That if you cross over to it's the deep umbra, and the spirits that you encounter there are very alien. I mean, when I'm talking alien, I'm talking something out of a really bad acid trip. It tends to invoke a lot of madness, and the spirits can be hugely powerful, and they're hard to deal with because you don't know how to speak to them. Gifts don't tend to work the way they used to. Spirit speech might not work with these things, because it is like dealing with aliens from another planet. If there are other Gaias out there, or other potential core realms that have other things orbiting them, as there's at least one bone in our camp that believes that. This is the way to it, and it's not going to be an easy trip. Then you have the Dark Umbra, which only gets a passing mention, usually in regards to the Silent Striders, because the Dark Umbra is the part of the Umbra that actually touches upon the realms of the dead, and that's where you're going to start, tiptoeing over into the lands of Wraithy Oblivion. The only other thing I guess I'd want to talk about is when traveling the Umbra. Okay, a lot of times the Guru don't appear as you normally see them. Guru that start to figure it out start to appear as idealized versions of themselves. That arrogant prick that thinks he's the most handsome person in the world is going to appear as an Adonis. And, that Metis that actually views themselves as, like the Hunchback of Notre Dame, is going to appear like that. And travel is something that's, it tends to be kind of a fluid thing. One pack of Guru can set out for a location, and it could take them what feels like 2 months for them to get there. Another pack could set out for the same destination. It takes them a week. You never know how it's going to work, and this is where the storytellers, it's up to them. There are other ways to travel through the Umbra, other than just the moon paths and, in the Penumbra itself. Because, when I say moon paths, those moon paths are not in the Penumbra, the periphery, which is just the other side of everything. These tend to be when you go further out. It's almost like saying you're going up into the atmosphere, away from the world. Various spirits, what is it? If your totem is dedicated to owl, a lot of times you can fly in the Umbra. Makes things quicker. But there's always the mists around as you get out there. And if you go into those mists, you never know where you're going to end up. A lot of times the only way to do it is to watch spirits know what they're doing, and they blaze paths through the Umbra. Now they start to close up. There are gifts like Airt Sense that allow you to try to trace those, so you can start following those paths. It's kind of like being out in the wilderness and following a game trail to find water. I think this is as far as I'm going to go with this. I hope I did help. If you have any questions, feel free to ask, because I'm sure I missed plenty, because it's such a huge thing to be discussing. I will do some little mini videos later on to discuss 13 near realms, because they do need to have their own. They gotta give some love, Otherwise, they're going to turn into these little generic things that everybody's going to look at. It's like going to the Quickie Mart. So, and just something to remember is any trip to outside of the Penumbra should be dangerous. If you have Cliath and Fostern going to the ethereal realm or to one of the other big realms, if they're all coming back and probably laden with gifts and fetishes and such, you're probably not doing it right. It should be the higher ranks, or you at least got to have the higher ranks there is to be the hammer and the anvil to kind of bust their way through, because the threats that are out there are ridiculous. I mean, hell, when I talk about the ethereal realm, just the denizens itself, the ones that are supposed to be allies, will kill a guru just for thinking about it. Okay, well, I'm done with this one. Like I said, I'm going to eventually do those little mini videos. Other than that, I think I have to get back to the Bastet because I did promise some people I'd start doing those videos. Okay, later. Peace out, guys.